salute. Good morning, one and all. It is us. We are the two amigos, largely down to the fact that Tony is on holiday. And this has been compounded by me agreeing, whilst heavily distracted in parts unknown, to get in a third man and having failed to do so, which is then going to simultaneously trigger at least three, who have made their availability well known to me in recent weeks. So I'd just like to apologise for the entire world, for me being incompetent, work shy, and a second-rate fob. Good morning, Chris. How are you? I mean, if you can tolerate speaking to me. I mean, I appreciate I'm right down here at the moment.
So. Well, after your shenanigans the other day, it was like working with amateurs, I tell you.
Shenanigans. Well, listen, I'm glad. I am glad. Let me just say, I am glad that you are still a free man after some of the inadvertent hostile language you used on our previous recording.
Wait a minute. Yeah, thankfully the figures were quite low, so I think I managed to get that one.
Yeah, looks like the Polizei didn't tune in this week, and we do like all the boys down at the Met to enjoy going through our tapes. But it looks, but like I say, there are hundreds of those chaps listening to our every word, seeing what thresholds we're triggering, and it looks like they all had better stuff to do this week. So we're not having to. We need to
call out more serial killers.
Exactly. We need
inclusivity.
We need to work much harder. So we beat Burnley. I presume that's what you've dragged us all here for.
You presume right, H.
Yes, presume correctly. So, what are your thoughts on the game? Did you watch the game? Did you manage to get? Because it was a 3 o'clock kickoff. I'm just wondering how you managed that.
Well, it's my first venture down to the Tottenham Stadium. The inch cider is £8.50 a pint, of which I succumbed to a few, 3 or 4. But the signs were encouraging. The performance wasn't so great that we could marvel at it. We still conceded possession a lot. And against a better team, you could foresee some problems. Romero, the captain, at the huddle before the game, the captain in that huddle for me was Porro, who was chest beating, going forward like a gladiator, entering the emporium on the arena. But it was a disjointed performance, but we did see somebody who's obviously kidnapped Rick Carlison, inherited his shirt, and all of a sudden found a little bit of form and scored 2 good goals. But we need to make sure we don't do what is synonymous with Spurs fans and get on the hype train. It's one game. If we see that form continued over 2030, my opinion changes. But at the moment, it was just one game for the lad.
Can I posit an idea? One of our illustrious commentators on the YouTube channel made a point, and I don't know if there's anything in it, because when faced with the unfathomable, you have to start kind of clutching at straws in terms of what's your explanation.
Yeah.
And so, you had the whole Jesus turning water into wine. That was really difficult. If that happened, that's really difficult. The business of feeding people those fishes with loaves. But the point is, Richarlison is playing like somebody, as you say, that's been part of a sort of government program. What was the TV series? I'm killing this because my memory's gone. Threadstone. He looks like he's walked out the Threadstone thing. He can speak. He's walking into a bank. He realizes he knows how to disarm people with weapons, can speak 16 languages, and all the rest of it. Could this be anything to do with him recently becoming a father?
Is that Threadstone similar to Treadstone that I used to watch?
No, Treadstone. I'm talking about the Jason Bourne movies.
Yeah, I've just Googled it. It's most definitely Treadstone, but obviously you know.
Okay, well, I'm terribly sorry. I mean, speaking somebody so eloquent with the English language like you, it's occasionally I forget myself.
Yeah, well, I do have to pull you up every time you make a mistake, as you try to come me out publicly on numerous occasions.
But yeah, so I mean, has he been recruited by the CIA's black ops, or has being thrust into fatherhood made him a better man? Because something insane has gone on, something abnormal has happened, because he's no longer the loser that he was.
Do you know what? It might be that he's for once been coached. So he's got a coach that's coaching him. Looks like the fitness guys may have been working in the background, as he looks slimmer and he looks more mobile and a little more agile.
He looks hungrier, doesn't he? He looks leaner.
And did he ever really want to play on the left, or was that the square peg that he, as a round hole, was put in by the illustrious leader Ange? So there's 3 or 4 things at work, and you think if you have the quality and the creativity, I won't say too much about Kudus, but the first goal...
Kudus was exceptional.
Pardon? Excuse me?
I said he was exceptional. I made a formal apology on my short that I put out, I think it was yesterday, and I thought he was sensational. Unlike a lot of people, I have very low trust in the rest of the world. I don't even trust myself. I can guarantee on me letting me down.
Having been out with you previously, that's a very good thought to employ.
Yeah, I mean, know your faults, even if they are your own. I'm the opposite of a narcissist. I never blame other people. It's frequently me.
Yeah,
even if I'm not involved, even if something happens on the other side of the world, it's probably got more to do with me than it has the people involved.
Our last evening out, after copious amounts of beers, you were the only man who managed to start a fight with himself in a telephone box.
Well, I do that before breakfast. In fact, what I've done as a safety measure, I have a telephone box in my property. Wherever I am, I bring a telephone box. It's padded inside. But I thought he was exceptional. 2 assists, 5 key passes, very high passing rate for a guy in such a forward position. But you see, the trouble with me is I need to see it with my own eyes. Yeah. That's why I'm so scathing and bitter with Hold My Beer and all of those dweebs in their Discord dungeons and the fighting schmocks and all of these characters. I don't care about what your imaginings, what you think might happen. Well, he was really good at saying, and it's funny how those people can never extrapolate these mood boards against players that they don't like. For example, your current pet pinata, Manor Solomon. No, don't tell me about don't tell me about Leeds fans singing his name. No. When he puts a Spurs shirt on, he turns into an IDF supporting mug, and I don't want him on the premises. That's what you're up against.
Unfortunately, he doesn't put that Spurs shirt on, so that doesn't actually happen that frequently, does it?
So anyway, back to the world of dreams. I thought Mohamed Kudus was exceptional. I thought Richarlison was exceptional, and I feel like I'm watching some sick tape that's been edited after my death with AI, because these are 2 players I wouldn't have put into the exceptional bracket, but they were. By some contrast, it has to be said, under these normal footballing conditions where we're looking for coherency, intelligence, blah 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 blah, and Lucas Bergvall appears to have gone a little bit. I mean, it's the first game, so we're not going to get overwrought about it. But he didn't look as interesting and as lively as he has done.
I think it was not brave, but the temperature and the advancing years obviously took a lot out of Polinia and Bentancur, because to completely change the centre of the spine of the team from what we faced against PSG and to bring in 2 youngsters, you can play Gray and Bergvall together against a newly promoted team from the Championship, but against Man City next Saturday, it'll be Polinia and Bentancur returning to the fold.
Yeah, I think Polinia looks good. I'd like to see how he is further into the season. Blah 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 blah. But that's me. I'm miserable. I like to see it evidenced. I'm all for people getting excited by their imaginings of how things will go, but you've got to bear in mind, I often use this in arguments with people. What are you going to do when something actually serious goes wrong in your life? You overreact to everything. I frequently use this with women, you can imagine. But, the unchecked hysterics, what are you holding back for the death of a child or a loved one or something really grim? You haven't got anything left because you went mental because somebody left a bottle of pop in your fridge, in your freezer overnight and it exploded. So I don't know you can find it within yourself when you have something really tricky and devastating to deal with. But you see, where were all the people screaming about how good Richarlison was after the game? I thought the response was perhaps rather mooted because the people who were telling us how brilliant he was and how much Everton fans were going to miss him, they were exhausted. They'd let it all go.
Yeah. And I'll come back to Romero again. I thought he had a disappointing game, and there were 2 or 3 real loose passes during that game. One where Lyle Taylor, the Burnley forward, came galloping on, and if it wasn't for Van der Ven's covering pace, that could have been a problem. So I don't get it with Romero. I don't understand how he's been appointed captain, where off the evidence of what I saw on Saturday, I'd have thought Porro would have been a shoo-in for that myself.
I think Porro to me, I don't know about a captain, but this is going to sound terribly judgmental, but then that's what happens every time I open my mouth.
Yeah.
Porro strikes me as perhaps being intellectually not a great leader, but he's very passionate and he takes absolute responsibility for his actions on the park. He's very much, let me at him, come on, guys. I'm not sure he quite ticks the captain box, but that said, does Vicario? No, not really. I need somebody who wants to be kind of, I know it sounds really cheesy, but kind of pin themselves to the Spurs mast. Somebody who kind of, it bleeds Spurs, and I'm unconvinced that Romero is that man. I mean, I'm prepared to forgive and forget and move on, but I haven't got complete amnesia. His messages he put out on social media after the
new manager arrived,
they were very much not those comments or sentiments of a man that was staying and had belief in the project. It was more about Angie's wonderful, long live Ange, Angie's dead. So I just don't know.
Do you think the truth of the matter is that not one high-level club, as far as we're aware of, come in for him this summer? The only club mentioned are Atletico Madrid, who haven't got pot to piss in.
No, and they didn't actually place a bid. They made lots of cooey warm noises, but there wasn't any action. There wasn't any direct bang. There's the cash. How much do you want for him? Because A, they didn't have it, but B, even in times of trouble, football clubs can pull off miracles because they're not like you and me who've got X in the bank and X under the bed. They're football clubs with huge turnovers, and they've got currency in stock. In trade, they can, rustle something up, try and achieve something. So I just don't know. I don't buy him as a captain. Not for me. He works on that comic book level for the 12-year-olds. He'll go, oh yeah, like Romero, he's brilliant. He's a baller. But no, not actually as a grown-up. He doesn't work as a captain at all.
Vicario again kept a clean sheet, but was less than convincing in my opinion. Distribution out from the back wasn't great. And there was a shot in the second half where he put the old hands out, and you think, remain less than convinced with him.
I know it's speaking out of turn, so to speak, but I think that he's going to get found out. I don't want that to happen because I don't think we're particularly organised in that department at the moment. But I can see by Christmas, the noises we're making now on, this thing, are going to be a bit more mainstream, and I can see there being a goalkeeping crisis on the horizon. But of course, if you're into players that have done sod all and are now regarded as virtual legends, this is an absolute, loose talk, unforgivable, insurrection language. But that's where we are with the fan base. I don't think he's fabulous. I don't think he's a leader. I don't think I just don't care for him.
But the fans like posing with mum and dad before games and on European tours because they're a giggle.
Yeah, well, there's lots of Italians, I would argue, on having their hollybobs and doing the tourist thing in London who would make for greater entertaining footage. most Italians walk past you in the street, they look pretty cool, and you start talking to them, they speak English well, blah blah blah. I could buy and sell this lot. I don't really want to know them. I mean, all the big players I can think of over the years, I don't know anything about them. Although I do remember an interview in the Spurs program with Gary Mabbott and his wife, and they had Solanke dogs, which is kind of stuck in my memory. But it's just, yeah, I don't really want to know your parents. It's like Jed Spence's sister. She looks quite fit, but I don't really want to know her. You know, I mean, maybe I'm miserable, but I don't. Oh, look, it's his sister. No, I want him to be good, and he is looking like he's doing the business.
I think it's just more your anger towards women. three divorces does that to a man. I quite understand.
Well, all I can tell you is I'm very very open and giving towards women at the moment as we speak. Yeah, so you know, I'd ask the jury to reconsider your loose comments.
How is the Peter Sutcliffe tour going? All right.
I tell you, those ball hammers don't autograph themselves. That's all I can tell you. So I'm having to get keep the wrist in distinctive movements to keep that going. But yes. Peter Sutcliffe, the Lost Years has been a sellout success.
Thank God.
And we're in Bradford this weekend. You can meet me in Manning's public house, just a stone's throw, or should that be a house brick in a socks throw from the university? So, how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting apart from message me, text me every 20 minutes and say, "Is it up yet? Is it up yet?"
Well, you said you were on a date. I just wanted to make sure a man of your advancing years wasn't going to spectacularly let somebody down. But yeah,
no, I did. I let you down. Because I didn't have any Wi-Fi. But fortunately, we were able to go to a relative of the person I was with, and they actually let me into their house and to use their Wi-Fi, which was tremendous. But yes, there are certain parts of the UK which are picturesque, but technologically backward. Is all I can tell. I can't believe how much sun I've caught.
Well, so we didn't actually mention the man who's always there at the right time, and that was Brennan Johnson. Again, rattling one in, and I think
he rattled it in, didn't he?
Yeah. If we don't get Savinho or Eze, and I've got to say, I think both those. I hope I'm proven wrong, as they would both be magnificent signings. But it's like 8 days since they were both rumoured, and if you want to buy a car or you want to buy a house, yes, football deals are complex by nature, but you go in and put your cash on the table and say, "I want that man," like Man City or Chelsea do.
Hang on a minute. Sorry, Christopher. You put your cash on the table. It strikes me a very naive way of doing business.
But if they don't come in, I wouldn't be surprised to see Johnson starting regularly on the left with Kudus on the right.
Yeah, Johnson needs to offer more, and I understand his fans' point of view. He scores, goals win games. What more do you want? Why do you keep moaning?
Ole, ole, ole.
Ole, peace out, free plasticine available at the gift shop. But I just don't understand why people don't demand more. I mean, if it was like Harry Kane, the amount of people who found fault with Harry Kane's performances, apart from the odd free kick perhaps, but he generally delivered because he scored most games. He got us out of trouble endlessly with his goals. There was always a goal there. But for me, Brennan Johnson simply doesn't really do enough. You know, I mean, it's all very well. Yeah, I scored a goal. I'm not saying I don't want the goal. I'm not being completely obtuse, but I would like a little bit more, because he doesn't even appear to want to chase into tackles and get stuck in. I mean, how he comes off the pitch looking so tired at the end of games and all sweated up, I don't understand, because he's done sod all.
It's an illusion. It's
it's an illusion. Yeah. So who else did we like from that game? Anybody?
Who I massively liked was Thomas Frank, and I thought it was lovely to have a coach on the touchline who, throughout the 90 minutes, every time I looked at him, he was animated. He was
what?
he was
He was
I'll
animated.
I'll be careful, as I know this gets you excited, but I liked all the fist pumping and everything. So I liked all the fist pumping. I liked all the movement. I liked the coaching team around him shouting, and I liked the fact that even at 3-0, he wasn't happy and said it was a disjointed performance. So we had somebody who was doing the right things.
Well, what you're dealing with there is somebody who is able to speak and somebody who's able to communicate effectively. So, you know, you don't get this staring at his feet, coughing, you know, throat clearing. It is what it is. Put another. That guy was just ignorant, like a stick of fucking rock, ignorant. Whereas Thomas Frank clearly loves football, enjoys football. I mean, I know it's tedious perhaps to go down the road of saying what you don't like about someone that isn't here anymore. But for all the, I said to Puskas and Puskas said to me bullshit, he didn't come across a man that enjoyed football. You'd get him waxing lyrical in his round the campfire stories in the pre-seasons and stuff like that. But his general persona was somebody, he just, like I said before, he looked like a department manager at B&Q.
And the truth of it was that Puskas arrived towards the end of his years at the back of Beyond, needed a taxi driver and needed a chaperone. And Ange, being a senior player towards the end of his career, was given that job. But he's the only one who can badge it up to make it look like he was sitting at the dining table with Pele, Mandela, and other
and Groucho Marx. Yeah. But
as opposed to the fact he was actually in the company of the Fritzels,
the Wests,
yeah, Tony V. He was dining with all the greats,
with Myra Hindley playing the spoons at half time.
Yeah.
No, I felt that he's been, and he's allowed to do what he wants, but I think that guy has been very selective. I mean, the quotes about Sonny after he left and after Sonny left about I thought no,
we'd put him centre as attention. We'd plan the whole Europa League around a player who was misfiring and his legs had given up on him. And for 2 years, we'd all said the same thing. He's finished.
Yeah. I mean, this is literally, we need a quote from you, Ange. Okay, yeah. What I'll do is I'll just skip through how I won the Second World War. I mean, I was only 2 at the time, but I did my bit. That's what you're getting from him. I just think he's an unreliable. Where's the job?
Yeah, where is he?
Where's the job? I mean, he was supposed to be talking to this, that, and the other. I understand he wants to take some time off, be pampered in a restaurant, served overcooked steak. That's fine. Good luck to you. But it doesn't float my boat. But no, back to Thomas Frank. I think he looks the absolute business. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He knows the division, and he's doing what effectively we hoped he would do and apply some of the techniques that we admired at Brentford. And it's easy to deride that because they didn't bloody win anything at Brentford, but he didn't have any money. And I did that podcast in the pub in Malvern with my good friend, Chris. He made money on all of his players. His average margin when he sold a player was plus 80%.
Yeah.
Which is just huge. I mean, Spurs do it once in a blue moon with the likes of Gareth Bale or Luka Modric or someone like that. That's fine. But he did it from a position of a side that wasn't competing in any big competitions. And I thought the way that they're feeding the ball in to the strikers is making a difference. And that's got to be a reason why Richarlison is almost unrecognisable.
Yeah, I've got to say, going back to Brentford, I think they're going to be in for a rough time this season, and I'd have money on Andrews being the first managerial victim because they got torn to pieces by Forest yesterday. But it's very brave to give somebody with no coaching experience his first rodeo in the Premiership, which is cutthroat, and I think his neck's on the line already, I'd suggest.
Well, the thing is with him, his situation in particular, is that it's done out of love. It comes from a place of love. They haven't gone to LinkedIn or whatever to recruit. They've gone for somebody that they knew and they trust. I'm just looking at the results of the weekend here. Wolverhampton Wanderers got absolutely walloped 4-0. And it has to be said, Chelsea at home to Crystal Palace was not the desired outcome. But Manchester United, for all their repairs and bits and pieces, that work they've had done, got beaten up by Arsenal.
Yeah. And that was,
so, you know,
if you watch that, it was like watching paint dry. But I've got to say,
right.
the Gyökeres debut was somewhat underwhelming, and you must have reservations. Yes, it's only his first game, but he's 27 years of age. He's been in the league previously at Brighton a number of years ago. That remains somewhat of a gamble, that signing. And if he gets a service, maybe it's different. But on the basis of what I saw yesterday, it didn't fill me full of confidence.
So I have been told by a source that is reliable enough, I would say, that Spurs are hoping this week to get the Eze deal done for 55 million quid.
Plus 7 million Boltons.
Plus all the add-ons.
Yeah.
So if they can do that, that would be great. But again, with the refrain came the cry, get on with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, he played in their last game, which, as I say, they accredited themselves well with a draw against the mighty Chelsea. But Chelsea will be pretty pissed off that they didn't manage to get more. I mean, Palace were a tough side last season.
Well, Glasner would have been my pick over Thomas Frank, if I'm being truthful with you. I think he's an exceptional coach who has won the FA Cup and won the Charity Shield. He's won Europa Leagues, and he acquitted himself really well in German football. So he's no mug, but you've got to feel sorry for him. If they end up getting rid of Gui and Eze before the transfer window shuts and don't bring in quality replacements, he's up against it, isn't he?
Yeah. I think Palace are going to struggle. I think the moment they sell Eze, that's really going to pull the plug on their season, to be honest with you, because he's a massive part of it. I don't think they're a one-man team, but I think that it'd be like if we got rid of Kulusevski. That's a player that has a pivotal role, especially if Frank is going to play him in his right position. I mean, the performance from Gray was pretty close to exceptional.
Yeah,
it wasn't marked with assists and key passes, but he had an exceptionally high passing accuracy. I think it was like 94%, which, considering again he's in the middle of the park, what more do you want? I mean, what more do you want? I mean, it was a really solid performance.
Is that anything to do with putting a round peg in a round hole?
Yeah, and not having to use lube and swear lot as you're trying to hammer it home for now. Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly what happened. There's a guy who wasn't having to mend and make do with his rolling proceedings, and he looked really good. Like I say, there was nothing to scream about. Your video compilation you would make of his contributions would be pretty like kind of looks like a safe pair of hands. But what's wrong with a safe pair of hands playing in that position?
Yeah, obviously quietly effective. It gets on with their job and just does it, no fuss.
Exactly. Which, gotta say, we've been down this route before. This is the way of the Carrick. And this is the way of the Modric. This is the way those players in that position show you how they excel, is by just getting all the basics right most of the time. So I think there's genuine reason for cheer. I don't buy into the whole you can only play this on in front of you. But who knew what Burnley were going to be like? They did stellar work getting themselves back up. That's a war of attrition in itself.
They were a Burnley side that only conceded 16 goals in the Championship last season as well. Yeah. So to have 3 rattled past them in their first game, welcome to the big leagues, boys.
It's welcome.
Massive difference between the physicality of the Championship, where you go kick the shit out of each other, to the Premiership, where it flows at a million miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the little league anymore, and all your elbows and all your other little tactics you've got in the Championship, they're not really going to apply. But if they get thumped 3-0 every week, who knows? But no, I think we did really well, and there's no reason to worry too much. I want to see how we do against somebody a bit more interesting.
Well, I think Man City away next Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if we change back to a back five. I wouldn't be surprised if we go to 3 centre backs, the wing backs. I think Polinia and Bentancur come back into the side. Will we have a couple of signings by then? We hope so, but who knows? So I think Frank's going to mix it up and change it depending on the opposition.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that flexibility, because one of the enemies of football is the word inflexibility, which is what we've been struggling with for the past 2 seasons. So, yeah, no, my opening score report for Frank would be 8 out of 10 for the Palace game, for the Burnley game, and more please. But as I say, the guy that I spoke to says that the conversations have got heated up. There's a bit of warmth in the room. Eze's made his case clear. I think it was you that told me, at the risk of putting it on you that told me months and months and months
Wouldn't be the
ago.
first time you tried to sell me out.
No. This is to your credit, but you said that you thought that Eze wanted to play for Spurs, and I never bought any of the business that he was going to Arsenal because it was just completely unsubstantiated, and I got the sense people had invented it, dare I say it, to fill the void.
So I was recently told that Eze was a done deal, that Palace wanted to wait until after the Charity Shield, and they also wanted to wait until it was announced whether they would go be in the Europa League or the European Conference League. So both of those things have passed now. And I was told it was going to be about 55 million with 50% of that up front and then around 7 million in add-ons.
So you were told to 55 million as well.
And that's why I said to you earlier when you said that's what I'd been told that was the fee.
Well, there we go. We've got a collision of ITK.
Well, never use that word because we don't.
We're not in the kitchen at all. We are in our offices. So you know that's where we are. We're not in the kitchen. We're in the office.
Have you noticed, H? 32 minutes in without the without Tony's influence, we've managed to stay very
somber
football and very sensible, as opposed to being dragged off into all sorts of iniquity and.
No, I was just wondering how much Myra Hindley's knickers might go for on eBay, but that thought didn't go any further than about here. It didn't get quite to my lips because I didn't have Tony here, winking, nudging, and grinning. He's like a Beano character.
I turned on the telly.
Have you met Tony? Because I haven't met him. I think he might be AI. I think he might be AI.
I turned on the telly last night for a few hours before bed. And I thought I was watching Tony, and then it turned out it was Dr. Hannibal Lecter out of Silence of the Lambs. But they both have a lot in common. They're both small, they're both sinister, and they both
have their own what does he call his baldness?
Solar panels for a sex machine.
Solar panels for a sex machine, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think there's something there, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if he's AI.
Yeah.
You know, he sits there with his hat on and his little mischievous little twinkly eyes,
menacingly chuckling like
and updating us on the arrival of his medicines that he gets.
Yeah, that character out of Wacky Racers with Dastardly Dick, whatever his name.
Muttley.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
The AI Muttley. That's what we're up against, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right, so Spurs still pondering in the transfer market.
The person I would suggest will be having not sleepless nights, but will be getting worried is Solanke. I was talking to a chap yesterday, and he was like, "Well, what does Solanke actually offer us?" He said he's not a great finisher, he's not a great link-up merchant, and he's not got outstanding pace. So you think he was our leading scorer last season with 14 or 16 or something? But that was because there was no competition and he had no one around him. So I still maintain if we had anything about us, we'd go out and get another centre forward. So I think it will be a long season ahead. If we are Richarlison, if he was to maintain that form through the season, it would be the greatest reinvention, rebirth since I don't know what, but it's a long way ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, the idea of Richarlison having a comeback as a striker just seems utterly implausible. But it's looking like that could, yeah, it could happen at this rate. Yeah. It could happen. Whereas Solanke, I never bought into the idea of buying from and apologize freely for being so arrogant from a dustbin sale such as Bournemouth. Yes, he did a great job at Bournemouth, but that's Bournemouth. We're not Bournemouth. We need more than whatever Bournemouth standards are. And as you say, he's not great off the ball. He's not fast with or without the ball. But we get back into this rather dogged conversation about his hold-up play. I mean, I never recall anybody talking about Lionel Messi's hold-up play. There's a guy who could do everything. I don't remember these great big people, these diatribes about his hold-up play. I mean, it's like saying Elvis Presley, he was a particularly good driver. I never really heard much about that. He was a rock and roll star. That's what he did. That was his day job. And it's and he doesn't come out and say, "Well, I drove here today in my Buick." But nobody. It's all about doing the job, the label on the biscuit tin. You know what's in it? Screws, biscuits. We don't know, but it's about delivering that. And Solanke, I just don't see what the product is.
In suspicious minds,
we can't go on.
In suspicious minds.
I went to I was buying I can't remember the name of the bloody thing. It might have been Ball Jeans or something. It was in the 80s, and the bloke said it was really late in the day for an appointment. The appointment was like about 5 o'clock, so we were done by sort of 6. And he said, "Do you fancy coming?" He said, "Do you fancy a Chinese?" He said,
"This is a bloke you've never met before. You've just gone to buy something from."
No, it was a sales agent in a building and respectable, not one of your operation shenanigans where you come back with not remembering what happened for the last 3 days and a new pair of cowboy boots and a funny taste in your mouth. No, so he took me to a restaurant. I think it was in Putney or Fulham or somewhere. And the bloke who owned the thing, he did an Elvis thing. So it's a Chinese guy doing Elvis, and it was all "Rub Me Tender." Brilliant, really good.
What was that film with Nicolas Cage where you had all the skydiving Elvises?
Oh my lord!
You remember that?
Was that Leaving Las Vegas or something?
Something like that. I can't remember, but you've got.
Unfortunately, Chris Cage has made an awful lot of films.
Where's Chris Nicholas's brother? Then is it?
That's right. You've probably not seen most of them because they were dubbed from the original Pakistani.
How did that bloke Morris Gibbs White get on at the weekend? Did he have a good 90 minutes?
Well, he was the member of the Bee Gees that they never spoke about. That's what was going on there.
That was the one that Del Boy and Rodney was saluting in the Christmas special.
Judging from your singing, music isn't something that absorbs your life, you know. So we'll never know.
It's a very rude yet accurate observation.
Oh, Tony, where are you? You could have butchered us both by now. Where are you? On holiday with your so-called?
I think he's actually doing a spell in prisoner cell block H.
Well, this is prisoner cell block H. As you can see of us, one of us have been called up before the governor this morning, and that's why he's not with us. So what do we think? Where do you think realistically, or was it too early after one game? Of course it fucking is. Spurs are going to do this season. But the Opta computer said 14th.
I think we should be aspiring for a little better than that.
I aspire to go out with Miss World, but I mean the reality is you don't always get what you want, do you?
No, but you've ended up with Mr. Birmingham. But remember,
which is rather alarming actually, because a friend of mine met this charming young lady, and a third party. He said, "What was she like?" And the guy said, "Oh, it's really nice, really nice. Massive cock."
This is the lady boys. These are the lady boys that you associate with.
Damn right. Darn tootin'. So go on then.
Go on.
No, you go on. I haven't got anything to say.
I'd like 2 bites of this apple. One now and one assuming that those 2 or 3 transfers come off. As I most certainly think that we should be looking for top 10 football, which would be an improvement on 7 places from last season. But if we can get an Eze, if we could get a Savinho, if we could get one other, then you should be really chasing for sort of top 6, 7, 8 type role.
At the risk of exhuming a body which has been freshly reburied after being exhumed just last week, in what world does Tell over Mikey Moore make any sense?
It doesn't at all, and that's why I'm saying that I can see Johnson occupying that left-hand side slot. So Tell, what is he? Is he a centre forward? Is he a winger? Because if he's a winger, he's the most ungangly winger you've ever seen. He's a bloke who can't control the ball. And if he's a centre forward, take away a brief cameo hiatus at Bayern Munich, where he was playing shit on a weekly basis, his numbers are very underwhelming. So
why do you think less has been made of my suggestion that this is a Daniel Levy masterclass where we discounted Harry Kane by 30 million in return for this bag of fucking bones?
Yeah, but then they also had the audacity to say, we'll let you have Polinia on a year-long loan with a potential buy for 30, 35 million.
So when he's 30, when he's 33?
Yeah, 32. But yeah, we're their greatest customers of late, aren't we? Bayern Munich love it when Tottenham come to town.
And could another star beneath within the Thomas Frank orbit be Papa Mata Sarr? Because he's had some very good games. Gone a little bit off the radar because, again, he's not done anything significant, but he's done more than normal and hasn't done anything stupid.
And it returns to an initial comment. He's been coached. What was he under Ange? Everybody, if you ask them, would say, talk about Papa Mata Sarr, and the overriding thing would be he's got a great engine. He can run all day. Well, I can run all day if you ask me to. But
no, you're all right. Nobody wants to see that. You've had too much of that Rhino jizz you were drinking.
Rhino spunk. Yeah, it's made me man though. Yeah,
made me a man. Giving you the metaphorical orn. So yeah, I mean, I just think that Sarr is looking, because if we can up the squad, and this is, I think, some of the things that people miss. They want to turn everybody, as you say, into a generational talent, a baller. But I'm much more interested in seeing these guys, instead of giving us 7 out of 10 at best, give us 8 out of 10 every week. It's those incremental changes that can make the difference.
Yeah. We really need somebody to push through, and you think we've loaned out all of our kids this season. So are there going to be any hidden gems in the squad? Is there going to be anybody who comes through and surprises us, who could be the breakout player for this season?
But we don't do breakout players. That's the problem. I mean, the closest we came was Mikey Moore, and I think that's not unreasonable to say in the last decade, because Harry Winks never did anything astonishing. But
it makes me laugh now that there's Leicester fans publicly taking to social media to say that Oliver Skipp is the worst ever signing they've ever made in their football club.
Oliver Skipp, I think, there was a horrible line. I think it was it in Rob Roy or something, one of those films.
He was part of the leadership group, so he's got to have been good, surely.
But there was a horrible line when the guy was speaking about the Scottish, and he said a nation needs to know when it's beaten, which is pretty nasty. But in actual fact, it's about having that awareness, having that self-realization. And was there not a part of Oliver Skipp's brain that clicked in when he was at Norwich and he was doing really well? Why did he want to trade on that point? Why didn't he stay where he was? Because he could have been. They loved him at Norwich.
Yeah.
The crowd at Carrow Road thought he was good value. And got behind them. He slotted in. He was able to boss the ball. He was able to push the ball. But the moment he came back to Spurs, he was struggling. And I think, like, when a nation needs to know when it's beaten, and a footballer needs to know when he's hit the big time, and maybe the big time isn't really the big ring the bell Las Vegas time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's being the king of Norwich Market and knowing where the stall that does the good Thai food is, for example.
But at least he got to go out with Delia for a few cheeky sniffs.
Absolutely. Let's be Avenue, she said, giving away a home address. So what do you think is going to become of Odebear? Because there's a player that so many Spurs fans, again, I don't think there are many of them. I think they were just Australian and noisy, were telling us that he was going to be the next big thing.
Again, let's give Thomas and Justin Cochran and the coaching team a year to work with him and see what might come of it. We plucked a championship player from championship football who didn't have a great CV.
Was it Burnley?
Yeah. It's one of these where it came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, one journalist drops blah, blah, blah. And within an hour, it's on the Tottenham club website that we've signed him. So it wasn't one of these but what would have happened if there'd have been a week or two of speculation? You'd have all these kids coming out saying he's a baller, he's a generational talent, and somebody'd go to Scout Network or something and start creating spurious analytics telling us how his press rate's really good, and we'd have all got far too carried away and been recognising him as the next Pele. We just got to say he's not fit for purpose now, but could he be? Who knows? Got to give him the opportunity, but don't expect too much because it might never arrive.
I think it's another one of those ones as well, where when somebody says, or I hear somebody say, give him the opportunity or give him a chance, to put it into the sort of street parlance, what you're actually saying is, well, we've got to suffer it because Levy's already spent the money.
The false dawn, the false coming has happened so many times since I've been a Spurs fan. I can remember signing a young Belgian kid, Jonathan Blondel, who we were told was going to be a game changer, a central midfielder.
Wow.
Who can forget the Helder Postiga signing, this young kid coming in from Portugal? We were told, he is the dog's bollocks. Then we could go as far back as George Kevin Nkudu, or we could talk about Ndombele, or we could talk about Janssen, who scored a shed load of goals in the waters of Holland,
or Clinton Cards, who last season was let go.
So we've been told that we've got all these talents, we're signing all these youngsters from the back of beyond, and all of them have ultimately left the building via the back door, like so many of our signings do. Those to walk with their heads held high out the front door. You can say Modric, you can say Gareth Bale,
you can almost
say Berbatov, you can say all those players who go on to bigger and better things.
Carrick, I mean, you could fit those guys into a small mobile home, whereas the failures, you could probably fill the car park at Spurs now with the failures.
We've stockpiled crap, and our problem is that we can't move crap on. Like, second longest player at the club, who we spoke about the other day, Gil. What's that about? The bloke is useless. We sacrificed Eric Lamela to bring him in. I'd have rather get Lamela. So you got a bloke sitting there, and if the club had anything about him, he's got 12 months left on his contract. Write his contract off. Come to a mutual agreement, because Tottenham are more likely to extend his contract by another year, send him out on loan so they can try and generate from a future fee. But what purpose is that if he has another underwhelming season where they realise he's junk and want to send him back to us?
No, you're absolutely right. And because he's never going to come good if there was a horrible accident and toxic gloop was everywhere, but it's kept behind glass. Do not break in unless in event of emergency. You had Brian Gill there. Why would you let him out? Because he can't play football at that level.
And again, I don't know, what is he, approaching 24, 25 years of age?
Yeah, but his ship has sailed.
He's got a limited shelf life. It's time to move him on.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about Odebear is, who knows what he's going to be. We would all love him to be brilliant, and we would all rejoice if he went on to be a game changer. but it's just as easy. Like when we were looking for a centre back and somebody in there was
maybe he's going to announce he's transitioning and it'll be a whole new game changer. Game changer. Yeah, maybe he's going to announce he's transitioning. That would work.
What about when we needed a decent number 10 and we flew out to Portugal and we were in for Bruno Fernandes, yet Gedson Fernandes arrived at the club.
Gedson.
Yeah.
Who again, a lot of people emotionally overinvested in him.
Or when we needed a top quality centre back, instead of paying the extra cash, we went out and got Joe Rodon from Swansea.
Where is Rodon now?
He's at Leeds, isn't he? But he will get found out in the Premiership because, as my Swansea season ticket supporting friend told me years ago, he said he is not a Premiership player. He said the ball over the top is always likely to catch him, and he's a big unit, but he's not mobile. And all of these things. What did he play for us? About 13 games. Then was passed around like somebody being a child being trafficked around France, other places.
He passed around like Kitty Richards.
Yeah, we exploit these. We exploit this meat
at a guest house. I'm struggling to see. I mean, because the deal with Leeds play Everton tonight, which actually could be interesting.
Yes, Everton had a go and they've backed Moyes, and you never know, they could be a dark horse, specifically as they've arrived in their new stadium. And having looked at that, it's really compact, tight to the ground. It's one continuous stand the whole way round, and people aren't going to like going there if they can get off to a good start and make it a fortress and intimidating.
What's the capacity there, Chris?
It's not big. It's not big. Let me have a look. The Hill Dickinson Stadium or something, isn't it?
Oh, God almighty.
Fill some content while I access your favourite Wikipedia. Hill Dickinson Stadium, attendance 52,769.
Oh, so it'd be quite snug, as they say.
Yeah. It'll be an intimidating place for the Southerners to go with all those Scousers on top of you.
Yeah, well, I lived in Liverpool, as we know, and I don't have anything nice to add to the conversation.
Leave your wallets and phones at home, folks.
We've got your Managerial. You've got our stereo. La, 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 la. Right, so City up next, unless we do some transmogrificationing in the transfer market. So is any more for any more?
I think we
went to see a podcast the other day. The bloke sighed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not entertaining. You were entertained by that, were you?
As I said, all that stuff that your Norman Stanley Fletchers and alike we're missing because we're being sensible today, and we've been speaking predominantly about football.
Honestly, every time. I think this is the second show since Tony inveigled his way into our lives, which I still don't understand. I don't know where that came from. I've never met him. As I say, I suspect AI a foul hand. I wouldn't be surprised if the communist Chinese are behind him, to be blunt.
The deep state.
The deep state in a baseball cap and a cheeky chappy smile, and some rather sick ordering habits online, which we can't discuss in his absence. He had a twisted perineum, which I've never even heard of before.
No.
I asked my GP about that, and he said he'd rather not comment.
I would love, if there's one person that I'd love to put Tony in a room with, it'd be Donald Trump.
Didn't I meet you in North Korea?
It'd be like that Kennedy against, who was it all those years back?
Frost.
Yeah.
Nixon.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's just about it, folks. If anything stellar happens, we will be back because that's what we do. Yes, a little note to save. I know some of you feel cheated, but I have to have the right thing in front of me, and I don't want to keep going, oh, the stream's gone. Manchester City game, there will be a watch along the ding dong.
Shut up.
Yes, there will. There'll be a full live in your naked steaming front rooms, a watch along the ding dong.
The only safe thing is it's a 12:30 kickoff. Had it been 5:30, you'd have been pissed and belittling everybody by 6:15.
Well, let me assure you that there is an excellent public house only 10 minutes walk from here that opens at 10. So I could be pretty on my way on it by kickoff. Rest assured.
On it like the car bonnet.
It's on like Fat Pat's thong. And on that bombshell.
Hey, one final observation. We haven't had one slippery moment, and the video appears to have been spot on. Is that coincidence that Tony's not here today?
That's interesting, because we're not fit. This is just between me and StreamYard and you, and not the People's Republic of China.
Yeah, I always told you threesomes are a bad idea.
I'm in Essex. Yeah, you're in Essex. You're in a pit somewhere beneath the deep state in downtown Shanghai, mate. That's where you are.
Yeah.
I bought these new trainers. Bought these new trainers last week. They only cost £1. That's who we're dealing with.
Claims to be on holiday, yet the nation have recalled him for some further reconnaissance.
Yeah. I mean, you and I are able to do it when we're a different place. Clearly, when he says I'm on holiday, that means he's reporting to his masters, and he's not going to be able to use one of his buffered sites.
Yeah.
Absolute charlatan, that boy.
We rumbled you.
Yeah. Right, that's it, folks. Don't forget, good luck and keep it Tottenham, and I'll see you for the watch along a ding dong. Goodbye.